As you know, Britney Spears got married yesterday, Mazel, and it was a star-studded event. Icon after icon after icon. Everybody looked so happy, like they're having a great time. This happened, and this happened, and I truly lived. Because obvious, iconic moments. Selena was there. We have the same birthday. Maria Menounos was there, as you can see. Paris, Donatella, my girl Drew. It was a fairy tale wedding. And then all of a sudden, reports come out that Britney Spears' ex-husband, Jason Alexander, tried to storm the wedding. And I started to receive messages on Instagram and Twitter saying, hey, Tefi, who the hell is Jason Alexander? She was married? No. That's who I'm married to. No, I'm just kidding. Let me take you back to 2004. This is crusty, musty, dusty Jason Alexander. Jason Alexander decided to go on Instagram Live and try to break into wedding crash, if you will, Britney Spears' wedding, screaming, Britney Spears is married to me first. Insanity. So again, who is Jason Alexander? The year is 2004. Britney and Jason Alexander are 22 years old. Fast math. Apparently, they were childhood friends, maybe even childhood sweethearts. And one night in Las Vegas at 3 a.m, they looked at each other and said, let's just do it. Let's just get married. Of course, news breaks out everywhere. And Britney's mom, Lynn, storms into their suite the next morning. And 55 hours after they got married, the wedding, the matrimony was annulled. Real Britney fans remember that Britney's manager, longtime manager Larry Rudolph, was also there and forced them to get an annulment. Later, in an interview, Britney was like, oh, that was just me being silly. I was in a rebellious phase. But just last year, a divorce attorney that Jason Alexander contacted after their marriage was annulled revealed that Jason Alexander was extremely upset. He said that him and Britney had fallen madly and deeply in love, and he was forcibly removed from Britney's life. Jason went on to tell this divorce attorney that that was the first inclination that Britney was powerless over her own life. He also said that Jason Alexander would reach out to said divorce attorney at all hours of the night, leaving crying, sobbing voicemails about how much he loved Britney and how much he wanted to be with her. He was begging the divorce attorney to find out a way that they could still be together because Jason Alexander said that they were dying to be together. Anyway, oh my God, oops. Oh no, this isn't the image I wanted. The annulment paper said that Britney did not understand the consequences of her action. But Jason said, bullshit, we're in love. Ugh. Why is Britney Spears so disheveled at her own wedding? She has all the money in the world. This is a comment that I see all over my videos about her and her recent nuptials, all over social media and other people's posts about her. And it's interesting to me because as someone who works in pop culture and has been following pop culture since they were a kid, I have seen and noticed that as people, as a society, we absorb celebrity culture in two different ways. One, they're so fake, alluding to being undeserving of their success. This is all PR, undeserving of attention. Or two, I love that they're so real. I love their authenticity. I love their transparency, right? I love their vulnerability. I love that they're just like us, okay? And both of those opinions kind of insert ourselves into their narratives. Now, in the early 2000s, with shows like TRL, we very much felt a part of someone's success. We were voting for them, right? We were involved in how popular they were. Think of American Idol, things like that. And the only times that we felt close to a celebrity is when they allowed us to. And what's extremely interesting to me is that Britney Spears is easily one of the most famous people in the entire world and has never pretended to be anybody else. If you watch interviews of hers before her father took control, she is hyper relatable. She's very much herself. She, while of course always being seen as a sex symbol even before she was of legal age, she was also described as dorky, as nerdy, as funny, and she's never lied to the public. The only times that she has hidden anything is, of course, her dating life, where, for example, with Justin Timberlake, she did not disclose immediately because she doesn't have to that she was dating somebody. And then after they broke up because he cheated on her, she cheated on him, excuse me, she did not come out and say, I broke his heart. It was later, after certain songs were released and music videos, that she had to sit down with different journalists and kind of alluded to hurting somebody. But all the time I see these comments about certain celebrities, like, this is so fake, this is so not real. And here we have an A-list celebrity who does not care about what it looks like and is just having a good time. She's dancing so hard with her family and friends, well, one family member, Brian, and her friends and people who she feels have her best interest at heart, that she's sweating, that she put up her hair in a ponytail. I'm going to talk about this more in another part. Talking more about how we absorb celebrity, especially celebrities like Britney Spears, where as people, we feel very, very close to her narrative. Unfortunately, sometimes I have seen that as a society, we force ourselves upon their narratives so that we can sometimes maybe feel closer. And a lot of the times when I respond back in like a funny way, like, don't criticize my baby girl or something, people are like, it's just because I love her. And that's extremely interesting to me because I'm a millennial and I'm on this app. And over and over and over again, I see people complaining about how much of a critical environment they grew up in, with the media, with their family members, with their schoolmates, with people that they work with. And how much are we applying our learned behaviors onto people that we know have suffered trauma the way Britney Spears has, because that has somehow become a love language for us. You know, I just want what's best for her. I'm guilty of that too, of course. I see people who are mocked for the way that they look all the time in the media. An example is Khloe Kardashian, you know, and when people post about Khloe Kardashian, as I have, a common comment is, of course, she's trying to alter the way that she looks all the time because of our commentary and our criticism. So it's like this self-feeding cycle. But with Britney, it's interesting because she has been criticized for the way that she looks since she was probably 16, 17. She's been seen as a sex symbol before she was even legal, right? And in her testimony in front of a judge that we all heard last summer, she said, I'm tired of being, I was always trying to look pretty and perfect for my father. So now she's allowing us, society, to see her in her happiest state with her new husband, with people she feels the most comfortable around, and she's allowing us to see it, and still we find ways to criticize her, when the entire Free Britney movement was about let her live her life. And now that she's living her life, maybe a part of us as a society does not feel as close to her, like she does not need us. Are we only kind to people when they feel like they need us? Do we only stick up for people when we feel like they need us? Do we only show love to people now through criticism, through what we feel is best? And who does that remind you of? The people that we complain about. So I just see somebody really, really happy. And I'm a sweaty girl, so I always put it up in a ponytail too. Why weren't Britney's children there? That is another question that people are asking a lot. And I'm just going to say, first and foremost, I am standing in a place with my opinions where I'm giving someone the benefit of the doubt, because the entire reason that Britney Spears was baited into agreeing to a conservatorship was because she loved her kids so much. I don't think it's a secret how much she loves and adores her children. She was basically imprisoned in her own body for 13 years because of the threat of not being able to see her children. She loves her children, and we know that, right? We also haven't had any insight into the kids not liking Sam or not approving of their marriage, of their union, of their nuptials, okay? So I asked my mom about it because I am not a mom. So when I make videos about parenting or families and stuff like that, I am not standing in the opinion of, or the perspective of a parent, I'm standing in the perspective of being a child, right? So I asked my mom, and my mom said she probably wanted to be drunk with her friends and not worry about her kids. And I get that. But again, how do we stop being part of a celebrity's narrative? How do we stop ourselves from being so critical? Even when things look happy, even when things look good, even when things look real and authentic and relatable, how do we stop ourselves from saying, but? And that's something that I'm always thinking about, one, as a content creator, because no matter what, you want people to enjoy the things that you do, and enjoy the things that you make. But two, as someone who supports and loves a celebrity, I too have to look at myself and say, when will things be good enough for you to be happy for someone? And I'm not saying that this person is not happy for Britney Spears, obviously. I don't know them. I hope so. I would think so. But it gets to a point where if you and I were coworkers and Nancy got married, but she chose to not have her kids there, we'd probably be like, whatever, probably wanted to get drunk. And having no kids at a wedding is an option. I've gone to weddings where children aren't allowed, but it's probably because, she was dancing and having a good time, and maybe for one night didn't want to be having an eye on her teenagers, and I think that's okay, But are we just inserting again the narrative of the perfect mother, of the celebrity that we helped save? If we saved you, why aren't you being the mom you've always wanted to be? Maybe this is. When it comes to pop culture, I can safely say that this is something as a kid that really, really intrigued me. And it's no longer about who people are friends with, it's who people align themselves with. We very much see celebrity culture as maybe an episode, a very long episode of Survivor. I think I started becoming really enthralled with pop culture. Somebody asked me this the other day on Instagram when I had like an Ask Me Anything. When did you start becoming attached to pop culture? And even though it happened nearly a decade before I was born, the Princess Diana wedding to that guy really started something in me because it was like a phenomenon. And my family loves Princess Diana. Latinos claim Princess Diana as one of their own, okay? But that being said, I started to watch all of these documentaries about her, and I saw at one point that Princess Diana was like flirting with Michael Jackson. You can look it up on YouTube. They have like a moment, and it enthralled me that celebrities have these friendships, like Britney Spears was in a play, and she was an understudy with Natalie Portman, and Natalie Portman is one of her very, very good friends. Obviously, we didn't see pictures of her there, but the celebrity friendships, I think as a culture, we are obsessed with. Because especially with stand-ums, it's a way for stand-ums to kind of interact with one another. And we find that celebrity friendships, we also find community in. And it's very much like a BuzzFeed quiz, like which character are you? We kind of say who we align with and what we believe in or where we stand with things through celebrity because of who they, are seen with, who they're chummy with, who they're close to. So Donatella Versace is an icon. Paris Hilton is an icon. Madonna is an icon. Selena Gomez, I think that they've both been very, very open about mental health, and they're both Disney kids. And Drew Barrymore, of course, an icon. And what I found through pop culture is the majority of the time, they meet through management. Like, I think Harry Styles, Travis Scott, and Camila Cabello were under the same management at the same time, and that intrigues us. But we would never put those stand-ums together, you know what I mean? For example, what qualities and characteristics and personality traits do you assume of me for being a Britney Spears fan? If you've been following me for a while, you know I always say accountability is a love language because it is the belief that we know you can do better. And that is a form of compassion, all right? The difference between being nice and being kind. Nice is you look great. Being kind is you got food in your teeth, okay? So I think a lot of people feel that they are being compassionate when, for example, they point out Britney Spears having her under eye makeup smeared in her social media posts, right? But then for me as a woman, I'm like, so then what is it? Is it our appearance then? Do you weigh us upon how you absorb us physically? And I think also with celebrity, we are so used to the idea of these teams running after them, making sure that everything looks perfect. This idea of perfectionism has really, really lit a match on the gotcha movement. Gotcha, I knew you weren't perfect. You know, the society's always looking for a gotcha, especially with people that we view as privileged. So if we are weighed and measured according to appearance, stand on that side and stand firmly on that side. But don't come on the app and talk about body positivity, body neutrality, the idea of, you know, getting to work and somebody asking, are you tired? And it's just because you're not wearing makeup. You know what I mean? And societal structures in that way. Okay. I think Britney Spears, unfortunately, she did not ask to be, is a great example of that. But another part of it is what I said in my first video. So which one do you want? This is a woman who, after months now, over a year now, of talking to us about her rigorous schedule, and her team was probably making her try to stay relevant on social media, would then post, or her team would post videos of her after these grueling days of psychiatry evaluations and therapy and rehearsals and working when she did not want to, right? And she's an icon, and the only thing that we can point out really is, why is her makeup like that? And another side of it is, maybe her team wanted you to see her that way, because if they were in control of posting, it was intentional. Just like most of the tabloid stories about Britney Spears were intentional from her team that wanted to continue controlling her. Because as long as we saw her as a mess, we would continue to support her conservatorship. Public support, as you know, especially with recent events, especially in the court of law, is extremely influential, whether we want to believe it or not. No, I'm not saying that Britney Spears doesn't care about the way that she presents herself, or I'm not saying that Britney Spears doesn't care about the way that she looks. I'm saying that you do. Maybe more than she does. So, if women have a right to their own autonomy, then who are you to, after this comment, say she doesn't look very healthy? You are so used to, and everybody is so used to the idea of perfectionism, that somebody just posting, we see it all the time on Instagram, here's a dump of photos, oh, I'm just dropping these off, whatever, and they're imperfect. We are so used to perfection that maybe being imperfect is now a correlation to health, which is crazy. Maybe you're so used to a team of people and she doesn't trust anybody on her team. Celebrity and pop culture is really, really interesting. And I always get the comment like, imagine being so invested in somebody else's life. Loser, like Phaedra said. Pop culture, you know? And pop culture for me has always been so interesting because it is markers of society, about where we are and where we are probably going to go, right? And I see celebrity culture and pop culture like these like train tracks, and every so often somebody kind of switches the rails, and it's interesting to see where we end up, right? Even things like what people wear are indicators of where they are in their lives. There are certain things that I would say about people. I mean, I used to have a YouTube show, and there are certain opinions of mine that have changed. But it was a marker for me about where I was, and probably a marker looking back about where I was going to go. And Madonna is extremely interesting to me because when I was growing up, I was born in 1990. Madonna was the star. Then came Britney, right? And then some people would argue that maybe like Lady Gaga and Ariana and Rihanna, like those people, whatever. But it was Madonna. Nobody could touch Madonna. But being untouchable meant that people will still reach, right? So there are a lot of things that Madonna is hyper criticized for. Something that's really popular that people criticize Madonna for is her obsession with having a child of color. Something else is, her stance on Catholicism. Something else is, her infamous feud with Elton John. The first time I ever heard about lip syncing was because Elton John was criticizing her. So these all start conversations about authenticity, about humanity, about race, about privilege, about religion, about freedom of expression. And Madonna, I don't know if you've ever seen the documentary on YouTube, Blonde Ambition. Is it Blonde? It's her Blonde Ambition. It's called Truth or Dare. It's from 1992. It's from her like Vogue era when she was working with ballroom dancers in New York, but not ballroom. I'm talking about LGBTQ plus ballroom. And that sparked a whole other conversation. So sometimes I look at celebrity and I'm like, when do they stop becoming a person and when do they start becoming a figure of conversation? And Madonna is a perfect example. When does someone who wants to be famous be seen so much that they are no longer seen? Yeah. So apparently the kids did not want to take away the spotlight from their mom, Britney Spears. Sean and Jaden were not in attendance. An attorney for their father, Spears' former husband, Kevin Federline, said the boys were hopeful for their mother's future. They're happy for their mom and they're hopeful that Sam and Britney are starting a great future together. It's their night and they didn't want to take away from them. Of course, the statement is really dry, really professional. It's coming from a lawyer. I mean, who's going to trust a 15 and 16-year-old to have a statement? They'd probably say, well, we see them all the time anyway. You know what I mean? What's interesting to me is the immediate mommy shaming being thrown at Britney Spears, because how could a woman have the happiest day of her life without her babies being present? And it's a lot of virtue signaling I see in the mommy shaming community, and a lot of projecting and basically saying, I'm a good person because I could never. When it's just teenagers not wanting to go to their mom's wedding. I was just thinking about Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers was ruthless. Her commentary, her red carpet commentary, brutal, okay? Like celebrities would try to skip her on the red carpet, and she would not just go for your outfit. She'd go for your integrity, your character, and your talent, and if you were even deserving of a pedestal and a platform, And as a society, I think we love watching privileged, pretty people get knocked down a peg or two, whatever. That's just human nature, I guess. But sometimes I think, when do jokes become harassment? And some jokes are easy, Some jokes are low-hanging fruit, and usually they're the jokes about appearance. But there is one person, there's two people, I think, in the public eye that I don't know how I would forgive the public. I don't know. There's sometimes when I see people commenting saying like, she turned her comments off, he turned his comments off. And there are two people that I cannot blame. And it's Shawn Mendes and Lizzo. People are ruthless. People are so unkind. So I agree. We can look back at times when people were hyper cruel and just awful. But I don't think we're any better. And I can come out here and I can say, how dare you? Shame on you. But I'm sure if I look back on videos, I'm guilty of being hypercritical, because that's just, I feel like that's what people would say about me. That's fucking crazy. There's a saying about rude people that my best friend told me. Sometime a girl was mean to me at a party. And I didn't know her. And I was like, why was she so mean to me? She doesn't even know me. And she said, sometimes people are rude to you first because they're scared that you'd be rude to them. So they beat you to the punch. And I look at social media and I look at celebrity culture and I wonder how many times we've gone for the punch first when that person wasn't even trying to do anything. I don't know. Sometimes some people just want to share their talents with us and we make it about us so many times. So I wonder with pop culture what it would take for us to see people and appreciate how talented they are and be critical to them in a way that isn't detrimental. We talk a lot about mental health, right? But, like Britney Spears, we were part of that machine. We thought we were checking in on her. We were fueling fires.